Guys, real quick before we dive into today's topic around pet adoption and how that's impacting some of these different companies that have ties to the pet supplies, I want to give a brief market update. S&P's up 15.25 here in the futures. NASDAQ up 161. Both the Russell and the Dow still in the red. Volatility upticking a little bit here. So we have a true definition of a mixed market here, guys. But Andy, you guys brought an interesting topic to our attention here. Obviously, we've read some of the headlines around pet adoption and how much that's really taken off throughout this quarantine time and shelter in place. Walk me through some of the data that you guys are tracking, as well as some of these second and third order effects as a result.
Yeah, pet adoption is hot right now. LikeFolio looked at this. We're looking for mentions of people talking about adopting a dog or cat or pet of some kind. And you can see on the chart, when we chart that out over time, it's just a very noticeable difference over the last 2 or 3 weeks, really popping up and to the right at an accelerating pace as more and more people sit at home wondering what to do with their time, wishing that they had another companion and thinking, well, now's not a bad time to potty train or house train a dog or a cat. And so I think that's what's going on. The data is there showing that this is a very big deal. When we look at, a company that comes to mind for me, we've talked about on this show several times, is Chewy, the company that sends you essentially as a pet store that will deliver all of the pet food and toys that you need. And, we see a massive surge in people talking about subscribing to Chewy, to becoming a customer of Chewy for the first time. That looks very similar to that pet adoption curve. So you're stuck at home. You've got a new pet or your existing pet. You don't want to go out and buy dog food. Chewy is delivering that supplies to you directly. And I think that's going to be a great thing for this company long term because they delight their customers, and those customers are very likely to stick around long term.
Andy, this is an interesting story because of, number one, where we are in the world and our economy, and number two, because most people, though they have pets and think about pets, they don't always put a number on the pet industry and how incredibly massive this industry is and how much money's in this industry. I've got some numbers. $95.7 billion spent in 2019 on pets. The size of this industry, 2018, $225 billion. Expected by 2023 to be $281 billion industry. That's with a B, I know. So there's stats out there that say people spend more each year on medical services for their pets than they do on themselves, Andy. And what that translates to me is there's money to be made in the pet industry, and Chewy, all you have to do is look at the price of their stock. They've tapped into something, delivering food, delivering dog toys, everything having to do with dogs, and the stock is showing how good of a company this is. What a great job they're doing.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic. So not only are they seeing increased demand for their services, but they're delivering on it. So they're able to scale. And they're doing so at extremely high consumer happiness levels. So that's very rare to see a company that gets, kind of an artificial, out of nowhere surge in demand, is able to keep up with that demand at a pretty good clip and is able to delight the customers that they've had for a long time, as well as the new ones. I think that's a really powerful combination. It's putting Chewy well ahead of adoption curve expectations. And this is a company I think that's here to stay. They're going to benefit for a very long time from this.
And I love that last insight in terms of the execution, because that's really what that illustrates there, Andy. But I want to come back to the very first chart, which is just this adoption curve that you have here. This is a 30-day moving average moving sharply. The idea that you guys use this moving average is to eliminate kind of these anomaly, one-time events, and you're still seeing that line move that sharply. To me, that says that this is a major, major move in this adoption trend. And now this is more of the next step, the philosophical question from an investment and trading standpoint, Andy. We had up there a couple different names that have exposure to this this space. Amazon, of course, is one that comes to mind when really it's anything getting delivered through e-commerce. But when you see such a sharp trend in a specific space, does LikeFolio like to find the purest play to that? Or are you still interested in Amazon just because you get exposure to other things as well? Or is it truly like, hey, we're going to make a play on pet adoption. We want the purest play in pet adoption. That's something like Chewy.
I think that the pure play is the easiest play, but it's silly not to look also at the other winners. And so we do see major increases in Amazon Prime subscription. We see major increases in Walmart delivery services, Target delivery services, even Trupanion, which is, I think the ticker symbol is TRUP. We're seeing a 20% increase in purchase intent mentions of their pet insurance. So this has broad implications. You think of pets as kind of a niche thing, but anytime that, a new family member is added and that spurs some sort of consumer behavior, we want to know who the winners are going to be. And that can create a pretty broad swath. And there are a lot of winners out of this. And so it's not just the kids that are having fun with the pets. It's the CEOs and CFOs of these major companies that are ringing the cash register along the way.
It's a great point. And I look at Chewy on our platform here. I have up in the top left a label that gives me 10-day percent change, Kevin. It's up 41.6% in the last 2 weeks or 10 sessions here. It's had an incredible move, new all-time highs, or at least yearly highs here at 47.55. This name is certainly, following that trend the same way both Andy's data addressed directly on Chewy and in the pet adoption space. So, Kevin, the market's aware that this is a company that's actually doing pretty well, it seems.
Yeah, this is a stock that in the beginning of the coronavirus sell-off sold off into the very low 20s, actually. And I think the rest of the world realized, wait a minute, these guys deliver dog food and pet supplies and overall pet supplies to your house, and this stock has gone hyper on the upside, not only recovered what it lost, but it's gone crazy on the upside, where you have to look at it now and say, well, now what? Because it's big numbers. It's trading at the highest level it's ever traded right now. I look at 47.55 as the all-time high, guys, and that's today. So, this is a name that is off the leash. Look, see what I did there? I went off the leash. And it is running on the upside, guys.
Yeah, guys. Hey, look, I'm just gonna. That chart is perfect explanation. That chart is a perfect demonstration of how Wall Street can get it very, very wrong right away. I mean, individual investors who sit at home, who look at LikeFolio data, who watch this show, who watch TD Ameritrade Network, can say for themselves, all right, pet adoptions were going up, delivery of pet foods was going up. This is all happening right as the stock sold off down to $20.63. You don't have to be a supermarket genius here. You don't have to have all kinds of algorithms. What you need is to be able to see a little bit into consumer behavior and think about the ways that the markets may change and what stocks are getting thrown out with the bathwater. Now, is Chewy at $47? I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what it's actually worth, but I know that it getting sold off in the middle of March when these lockdowns started is a prime example of how markets can get it wrong and how individual investors can build themselves an edge just by thinking through consumer behaviors.